Hello, long time no here, I guess. So today I'm going to, I have actually noticed an issue in Laravel and I'm trying to make a video on that. It's about the fact that create function in Laravel, the static call to the model create function. Like if you can see here, this one, it stops working for some cases, and I'm gonna elaborate a bit on that. So as you can see that I have created a test environment. So I have created a route here. It's a simple API route which goes to a controller and then this function. So it goes to this controller and then this function. Then it takes the request parameter and it makes the hash of the password and it creates a new user. Of course, it's not an ideal example for creating a user. um, this topic is not related, is not focused on that. So if anyone out is watching this video, please don't get idea of how to create a user based on this video. It's just an example. So here I'm sending a name, an email, and a password, and this is the table where I'm gonna store it. Currently it has nothing in it. So let's make this request. So as we can see that user has been created. If we go and refresh, you see one user has been created. Now if I go and make it test 2, let's see what happens. Again user has been created, and as you can see that second user has been created. Now what happens sometimes is that in the model itself, in many case scenarios it's possible that you have to use constructor in the model. Like one possible case scenario can be that you are using a passport to authorize the tokens and you want to override somehow the login process. In that case you will have to override the things from here. And let's say that you want to use some env variable in here. So let's say that you have some property variable and you want to take its value from env. Okay, so as you might know that this will return, it will return an error because you can't initiate a property of a class with a variable. So let's do this real quick. Actually we have a thing myvar. Let's use this one. Okay, so this is not a right way. In order in if you want to do this, you actually have to initialize it with nothing or null, however you prefer, and then you have to define a constructor. And in that constructor you can so in that constructor you can say that this dot variable equals to this. So this is a proper way of doing that. Now it happens in many cases that you have to do this, you have to define a constructor inside your model. And I have faced this problem today. Then now if I try to run this, so if I go here and I try to run it with 3, let's say, you see it created everything with empty entry. Now if I try to run once more, it's giving me error that there is duplicate entry for email because it actually tries to create one more email with empty entry, and of course they are identical and email needs to be unique. Anyway, this entry is not legal because it actually removes all the value, if you say. So in order to overcome this problem, when you have a constructor and when you have a constructor in your model and you are trying to use create, which is here, so it happens like that. In order to overcome it, what you can do is that you can define a data or whatever variable. You can take one by one the value in it, like data name is equals to request name, right? And email is equals to email, and password is equals to password. Okay, and now you can use db in order to create the entry. So you create db table users. In that way you don't usually use eloquent, and then you insert the data. Okay, so this is one way, and we don't do this anymore. In this way, if you go in here and you try to create one more entry with this, it's successfully created, and if you refresh, you see you have an entry. Now the second way to overcome this problem is that you create an instance using the model class, and then you provide data one by one in that instance. Oh, let me have it in the other way. So this is, I can say that that's the first method. Okay, and this is the second method. Let's comment this out so that we can test the second one. So we have the user instance, and then you take this user instance and you put entry one by one, like user history name is equals to request name, and then email is equals to email, and then password is equals to password. Okay, and then you just save it. Perfect. Now if you go here and you try to make it with fifth, see that is created, and if I refresh, see it's created. However, as my today case scenario was that I have used this mass assignment at many places in many controllers, and then for some reason I had to use the constructor here to define some variable. Now I couldn't go and change each and every place where I use this mass assignment into these matters, one of these. So if you can't, you have to use this mass assignment. The way of doing it, let me show you once more the error. So I have saved it like this, and I go with sixth one this time, and it crashes again. So in order to do that, you have to go to your constructor, and here you have to pass the attributes which are coming through the parent constructor. So you define an array as a parameter, and then you pass it to the parent using static method of construct, and you pass attributes here. Okay, so in this way it will not override your attributes which are coming from here, like these ones, and it will pass it to the eloquent constructor, and the process should be how it should be. So I didn't change anything, I just added these lines here, this variable, and I passed. Let's see what happens. So Here I go and I refresh the same thing, and it's created. And if I refresh, you see that it's created. Now I made it 7. Again, it's created. So you see that it's working. So that's the problem I face. These are the three methods in. And don't get confused. By default, Laravel makes the user model with extending authenticable, which is actually this. But and REST models are extending model here, and you might think that if it's extending model, then it would be okay. But it's not the case. No matter what model you use, you will face the same problem. So in order to remove this problem, in order to don't create the empty entries like that, you gotta do this, or you use one of these methods. Thank you for watching.